My name is Steve Neill. My first memory of consciousness was at age 3, standing on a sidewalk on 47th Avenue in San Francisco. It was 1955. I looked down at my little body and back up at the sky, marveled by my own experience of life. I knew I was different. In 1958, at age 6, I woke up one night to a deafening silence and spotlights searching my room. This experience set me on a path of life unlike the average child. These experiences with the paranormal, UFOs, and more continued to this day. In 1987, my late wife brought me Whitley Strieber's Communion, which for me connected all the dots. I realized that I was not alone with this experience. This led to using my artistic skills to make art and film about this life experience. In 1994, I met and became friends with Whitley Strieber. I later met Yvonne Smith, Roger Lear, and many other people in the community, which led to television programs, magazines, and more. My work was suddenly everywhere, and I worked for many popular TV series during that time. I worked on many movies from Star Trek to Ghostbusters. But all this nearly ended my film career. It wouldn't be long before I was stalked, warned, and threatened by the intelligence community. One day, I got a call from the film studios I worked for. They had been visited by agents that told the producers it wasn't in their best interest to continue working with me because I was in trouble with the law. Under the threat of being left by my late wife, I quit the UFO community in 2000. It would not be until 2017 I would make my first film on this subject and burst back into the scene. It was called But Something Is There, and it told much of my life story and experiences. In 2023, Mary Catrapalia had the concept of making a channel that would allow people that have these experiences to come forward in safety and respect. This is something often afforded by mainstream media. They tell their stories directly to you, without a host or a narrator guiding the narrative. We are breaking the silence. Can you hear me now? Yes. Welcome to Breaking the
There I am.
Silence. And there's Mary.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome to Breaking the Silence post premiere. Um, I hope you enjoyed the communion letters that Mary and I did together, and we thought it was time that we started actually putting visuals to them and seeing Mary read them, and so that
Yeah.
was our first try at that. But one of the things we want to talk about is some of the changes that are going to be made in the show, Mary.
Yes. There's not a lot. We're going to have more times where people are chatting, but there's times that when we have a premiere where the chat's going to be off so you can watch the movie without distraction. And our streaming, uh, when we have a guest streaming, we're going to go ahead and have those without a chat, but special chats for everybody to still be able to talk to each other. That's it.
Yeah, that is it. And I don't know if any of you caught what we're doing over at
They
what
had
I'm
to.
doing over at Substack. I thought that during the flood, the communion comics, as they were called, was Beyond Communion Comics, which was made by Caliber Comics, and that's how I met Whitley, sort of. And it's a long story. I wrote about it on Substack. I've had a lot of you come back and say, "Oh God, I don't want to register and get it. It's free. You have to scroll down. It says that's odd. I like just turn it off all by itself. Uh, just select the free option. It's all free. Just fill in the information, and you can read the post. And but in addition to that, I found the original drawings, which I thought were destroyed in the flood, with the lettering that was put on it by my late wife Jilly. She did the lettering for it. It was comic style type drawings, and that was the prototype for the comics to come. Uh, and they're in perfect condition. So I scanned them and I made them available to paid subscribers. And I'm going to be doing more of that over time because I'm doing a new comic now. It's a type of comic. It's really an illustrated story, and I'm doing it in pieces and putting it on Substack for paid subscribers. The reason it's for paid subscribers is that Mary and I are spending a lot of our own money to keep this community and this channel going. So I'm trying there's a number of people in
Okay.
the Substack
I'll go
account
check.
that are paying, and they have been paying for a while. And I'm kind of
Excuse me,
shocked.
Steve.
Yes.
You sound like you're in a tunnel. Do you have all your settings?
How does that sound? Any better?
Much better.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
It's got an echo on here. I thought that was to get rid of echo. It's a different mic. We're at home. We're not at the studio. We're home this Saturday, so it's a different setup. Anyway,
Okay, good. Thanks, Groucho.
I have a number of people. I looked, and it's maybe Danny Sheehan is one of the paid subscribers. I didn't know that, and a lot of other people are paying. I never asked them to pay, but you have the option of being a paid subscriber if you want. But I wasn't giving any perks
There we
or
go.
options, so I thought it was time I started doing that. So the original artwork, and it's beautifully scanned at a high resolution. You can actually read the whole story. It was a prototype that was done, um, and that was used to start the comics. Unfortunately, they didn't like my art style for comics, and they went with someone else. But I did the covers. Now, the cover to the far left there is for the prototype comic that we did very quickly, just to so they could see where we're going to go with all this. They wanted to do the comic, but they wanted to see something. They liked it very much, but they liked my covers better, and so they got this sort of standard artist to do the inside, and they had me do a second one um, because they wanted it in black and white, and I had done full color. They didn't want that, and they still didn't like the style, so they went with just a standard comic book pen and ink artist, which is most of what's used in comics. Uh, I think they made a mistake because most of the people that wanted to see these comics were people who are already fans of my work because it was so prevalent during the 90s. But that's how things go.
What's the story of your next one that you're working on now?
So if you want to see these and the original art, these are really low resolution scans. Um, you have to be a paid subscriber, and then you have access to see them, and they are posted on my Substack account. Let me remove that now.
And
Mary, the
yes.
next one, I started writing what I thought was going to be my next book the other day. I woke up, I had things on my mind, which I often do. I don't know if they're channeled, I don't know if it comes from the visitors or not. It very well may be, because what came out of me was really kind of profound when I read it back. And I said, keep going with this. So I've been writing at it every day. And after we discovered the comic prototype, and I was so thrilled that it survived. It was at the studio; it wasn't here, so it didn't get flooded. The rest of them were. I thought, well, maybe I'll tell it, turn it into like a what they call a graphic novel or illustrated story, and offer it in sections and parts, 2, 3 pages every week or every other week, depending on how quickly I can work on them and get them up. So I started with the first 2 pages, and with any luck, that'll be up in the next couple of weeks. So this way, there are perks for people who are paying, and it's $8 a month. It's not a huge deal. Some people are paying more, and I really appreciate it because, like I said, Mary and I spend a lot of not just money, but we spend all of our time doing this practically. We do allow ourselves time for going on walks and watching a little TV in the evening and things like that. But mostly, and I'm sure Mary will agree with me, we are at this all the time.
Right. So
There's just two of us. It's the only way it can ever get done.
we have two communion letters under our belt as far as uh, creating them. Is there any communion letter anybody has a particular want or desire to see next or have read?
Don't make it a hard one. No,
Oh
just kidding.
dear. Sorry.
How many of you are you even familiar or have read the communion letters? We don't have many people here today. It's just sort of a bad weekend for all
Yeah.
this, being that it's Mother's Day.
Yeah. About 16.
I haven't read the book.
Ah.
It's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend it because what the book is are the letters that Whitley and Ann received after communion came out. You have to understand, up to that point, a vast majority of people who had these experiences didn't know they were having them. They thought that they were crazy or it was some childhood thing. And when they saw that face on that book cover, and that book was everywhere. Some of you may not realize this, but back in '87, communion, Whitley Strieber, and that book were a household word. They were. It was everywhere. Every bookstore you went in, there were racks of that face staring at you, and it really had a profound effect on people. And they realized, oh my God, how did you know? I mean, I saw that, so they would write to him and Ann, and most of them didn't want to share with the public at all. In fact, I don't think any of them did. But they sent the letters, and in the letters were even drawings of what they had seen. Now I have a little. Uh, you can't get everything's at Rice University. All the letters, all the drawings, and you can't really even get a look at them without going there, which is really a shame. Um, I thought I had it here. I was able to take from a video a frame capture so you could see some of them, and it was really something. It was clear enough. It was 2K footage, and these are some of the drawings that were sent in. And if you look uh, up in the upper right hand corner, I mean, look at the gray, look at the craft, look at the landing gear. Um, if you look around, it's really something when you're looking at them, especially the sort of hybrid looking child with the black eyes. That drawing is very haunting to me because I dealt with that. I had that experience with that type of being, and in my case, it really wasn't a child. But you can see the stuff is fascinating. I would love to see all of them. You can see the letters with them. So that book chronicles much of that material and selected what she thought were the most important letters in the group. They're all important, but she picked out, she couldn't have them all in there. There were that many. There were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. The book, as I recall, in 6 months sold 10 million copies. It was held the number one bestseller for 6 months. And it's all because of that cover. And also people reading it and telling other people about it, saying, "Oh my God!" and they would buy it. It was happening to that many people. It is happening to that many people, and that was just the tip of the iceberg because there was probably hundreds of thousands more people who did not come forward at all, didn't write letters. So we have no way of knowing. I mean, that's why we started breaking the silences so that you could come forward, come in front of the camera, and tell your story. So a lot of you have done that. We are finding at this point in time that we don't have many um, coming forward at this moment. Seb Talk was she got her wires crossed, about the time because she was 3 hour time difference. Um, this is a problem that's cropped up a couple of times, and so we have to,
Well, that's why
even
we're
though
changing it to being recorded
yes,
without the open chat, and then have separate open chats with just you.
yeah, you can have open chat with me and Mary sometimes uh, weekly. We'll have those, but we need to be able to record the shows because then they become like another series. Um, because I can put uh, imagery and animations to what they're describing. So we're going to record Sev, and she's going to talk about her experience. And so what you don't get in live streams is imagery to go with what they're describing. You might get a drawing or something like that, but you'll it'll be more like the shows, but it'll be me talking to them. But I'm really not going to interview the guest. I'm going to let this is their hour to talk about what happened to them and to talk directly to you, as if we were in the living room in the evening, sitting back, listening to them tell their story. That's always been the concept behind the show. I am currently reading this book and trying to get hold of Susie. I haven't been had any luck lately. Maybe she's out of town. I don't know what. She's in New Zealand, and Bob Solis and Marilyn both reached out to her on my behalf. I didn't ask them to do it. They're the ones that told me to read this book because we had them over for dinner, and I talked in detail about more about my experience. And we've known Bob and Marilyn for quite a while now, and they're wonderful people. Um, but the more they both heard from me and what I felt this experience was all about, they kept saying, "Read her book," and they were really kind of adamant about it. And so Mary ordered the book, and I started reading it. And I got to tell you, I can't wait till later on this evening. Mary says we don't read on weekends. I really want to because this
I
book.
didn't say weekends. I said Saturday nights.
No, I know it's Sunday night.
No,
But anyway,
Sunday we read.
this is different. I mean, I'm reading the book, and it's like I'm hearing my own words. I've never met Susie before. We've never interacted. We're around the same age. I'm 3 years older than her.
Hey Wes.
We grew up, yeah, we grew up in the same era. Her in New Zealand, me here in San Francisco, California, and so much of what we've experienced and how we feel about this experience and our connection with the conscious universe, as I like to call it now, was amazing. And what really got me is she has a picture of herself in there at 20 years old, and I just got this haunting feeling that just looking at it that I knew her, or I know her, or I've been with her, or I've seen her before. And
Or
as you
maybe in
well
another
know,
place.
as you well know, this has happened to me in a Bonds group back in the 90s. Um, a new member came into the group meetings, which were really different in those days. They're very private. Not that they aren't now, but they were very, very private, and people really didn't want to talk to public about it or go on camera or anything like that. And a new member came in, and she was a school teacher, and she walked in, and I looked right at her, and I went, "I know you." And she looked right at me, and she knew me. And as time went on, we found out why. So it's possible that can happen. But this book is really amazing, and I recommend it. It comes on the coattails of the the telepathy podcast, the telepathy tapes podcast, and Simon Bound's book. I always get the title wrong. Where is it? It's escaped me again. Verified Near Death Experiences by Simon Bound. That's Bown. And then Whitley's book, The Fourth Mind, and now this one. And they all synchronize and they all dovetail quite well, including the telepathy tapes podcast. So, and there's another book for you to read. So that's I'm trying to get her on the show. So Bob and Marilyn reached out, and I reached out to her today too because I haven't heard anything back. It's been a while, so hopefully we'll get her on and give her a book a read. If you haven't read the other books, give those a read too, because I think they're very significant and very important to this whole phenomenon. So many people out there ask why. Why is this? Excuse me. Why is this happening? Well, I can't be certain, but for me, a lot of those questions are answered by the material I just recommended, uh, for sure. So, what else are we going to talk about, Mary?
I'm just kind of at a loss. Things are
Yeah, me
changing.
too. It's been
You
uh,
know,
it's
we're
been a
having
long week.
our in person tomorrow, and we're going to have a small memorial for Earl, and it's a filled up weekend indeed, and a lot of it's going to be very small gathering because of Mother's Day, but the people that are coming are not in a position to celebrate Mother's Day, so we're just going to all get together and share stories.
Yeah, we talk about it's really a support group. We talk, and it's very much like the support groups of days gone past. I used to look so forward to those support group meetings back in the '90s, going to a Bond's house, and everybody brought food, and it was very quaint. There were actually quite a few people there. I mean, there anywhere from 10 to 15 people. They were quite large. These were all people she was working with. These were all people that were going under hypnosis and recalling the missing time and the missing filling in the blanks. A lot of them, though, did have very, very vivid memories, conscious memories of things happening. And I remember there was one guy that was in the army, and his whole platoon, when was out at maneuvers at night, got taken. A large craft hovered over them. He talked about how they were all afterwards. Um, Many of them don't know what happened to them afterwards. They didn't remember exactly what happened to them, and they're in the barracks and they were throwing up and defecating themselves.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were that freaked out, and it's quite. You have to imagine what that's like. You go into a support group meeting, and you sit down, everybody looks at each other. It's like something right out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We all kind of nod and look at each other, and we all know why we're there. And then someone tells a story like that, and your jaw drops. And then the next person tells what happened to them. And every single person who talks, you find something that they're sharing with you that you are so familiar with, if not many things. So it really is a great comfort, although at that early age in this early time in this experience and learning about it is pretty shocking. You walked away comforted that you knew you were not alone. And I think I hear this all the time. I read it in people's books. I have these experiences. They always talk about when they really discovered this was happening. They look at their parents or they look at their family or they look at their friends or they look at their sister. It didn't matter who it was. They felt they could not talk about this. And what did that cause? The feeling of being alone. And it's prevalent still to this day. And doing all this and support groups and having this channel really helps with that alone feeling and not feeling that you're out of your mind because you're in good company.
Yep.
That's why the
And
talk.
we're
That's
making
why
a
the
new,
talk.
and I'm in the process of making a new website too,
Oh
because
yes.
we had some problems with GoDaddy Pay where they said that we were in violation of their terms of use. When I called them, they couldn't tell me what term of use I was in violation of, but I couldn't accept payments through them anymore. And so now, and that's for SNG Studio Ventura. So we're going to be letting that website go and starting, I'm writing a new website, breakingthesilenceproject.com. So I'll let you know when that's together and we'll be able to do comics and posters and all the rest on that website in time. But now I'm relearning how to drive, making a new website. So you have to bear with me.
Yeah, and also these um, Jim Boyle is an incredible jeweler and jewelry artist, and he creates any kind of jewelry you want, and he's very interested and very involved in this subject matter. And back in 2000, um, I think it was him that had the idea. He said, do you want to sculpt something, make something for me I can turn into jewelry? So I asked Whitley, and Whitley, of course, gave me um, permission to use that image. I'm really the only person who's ever has been given permission, and I greatly appreciate it, to use the image of the classic communion lady. We did T-shirts back then, which I may bring back, that had
Yeah,
a replica.
let me show it
Yeah,
in the mirror up close. Can you see it?
I did the sculpture and sent it to him, and he made that. And on the back, if you bring it closer, Mary, and flip it around,
Can you read it?
back away a little bit more, back away a little bit more, a little bit. Right, it had it for a second.
Right there?
Give it a second. No, keep. No, you can. I saw it anyway. My name is inscribed in there, the year, and his little jeweler's mark. And now your camera's completely out of focus.
It's trying to focus.
Do you have autofocus turned on? You must have, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if I start moving
So if
around,
there's an interest, and so far there hasn't been any interest except from a couple of people that wanted to get them. Jim has offered to make those available again. They weren't very much money. They're not solid silver. They're a mix of metals that he used, and they never tarnish them. This is from 2000, and I mean, look at it. I've never cleaned it or anything. It's not pewter. It's a mix. I forget what he uses.
we're looking into that, Rachel,
What's that?
if they'll be on sale.
Yeah, well, if I could, I've written to Jim. In fact, he wrote to me and said, do you want to bring the stuff back? He may be listening now, and I said, yeah, that would be great. And so I will pound him some more tomorrow. Um, Send him another message and just say, call me, just call me on the phone. I talk to people. Of course, you want it, Ann.
And I put your piece from Benno in the mail today,
Mary,
finally.
your camera is still out of focus, so
Oh,
lean in. I mean, I don't know what's going on with it because you have the same camera I do.
leaning in.
I don't think it's set on autofocus.
Hmm. Let me go and do the settings.
Yeah, mine's on autofocus. We both have the same camera. We use the Razor. It's a really good,
Camera.
high quality camera, and they're not real expensive. I was going to buy
Okay.
a very
I'm gonna.
expensive webcam, and someone talked me out of it. Said, "No, try this first. You can't go wrong." And I did, and it's really quite amazing. So, well, we have a few people
That's better.
interested. I mean, mind you, we don't make much money off of this stuff at all. We just if we accumulate enough from different things, then it, it goes a long way to helping us uh,
Yeah, and then
keep
you
all
put it
this
right
keep
back
this
into
all
it.
going. No, you're fine now.
Yeah, I went in and out.
Oh, okay. That's weird that it did that. Anyway, so and I don't know if T-shirts are something to be popular or not, but the artwork that I had done for the T-shirt was a replica, which made people think I painted the original book cover, and that's not true. I
Okay.
have.
Yes, Rachel.
That was what was on the T-shirt.
Okay, here we go.
It's not a very good picture of it either. And so the T-shirt was black. It had that on it and communion underneath, and it wasn't really a big head on
What
her
was
chest. It
it?
was medium. It wasn't
Oh, okay.
very.
Here's a question. What was the green pyramid in the tree with the visitors?
That's the platform.
Th- That's what they were standing on.
Yeah. And you're a detail freak, Rachel, which is a good thing because so am I. I think we know what you attribute that to and what I attribute it
Oh,
to.
thank you, Benno.
Where is he? Oh, I don't know. I'm not in comments. As you can tell, well, Mary's in better shape than I am. I'm kind of punchy at this point. Uh, it's Saturday. We got through all the editing and doing all the effects and rendering and putting it on YouTube and taking a look at it to see how it looked, and it wasn't right at all. And we do a whole bunch of stuff, and that's just the nature of the beast when we're doing the show. Oh, Steven's talking about what happened. Well, look, Whitley and I talked about this. They don't like us because we're talking about this subject. And whoever owns GoDaddy, I looked it up.
Well, the guy told me. The guy told me on
Well,
the
yeah, but
phone.
not only that, I looked up who the owner is, and he is very questionable. I'm not going to go into details, but he is of a type
Yeah.
that would find us demon worshippers or something like that
Yeah.
because we.
Well, the guy when I called on the phone, the gentleman I talked to, he looked it up and he looked all through the website and we had a Breaking the Silence page that went to YouTube and he said that maybe it was the
Yeah,
ufology
maybe.
page, but he wouldn't say for sure. So just the maybe said it for me.
Well, not to be a real jerk, but if we had a page that was breaking the silence and how we spoke to Jesus, we would still have the website.
Yep.
And there you have it. And you all know what I'm saying. I sound like chaos.
Thank you,
Y'all
Rachel.
know. Y'all, we get such a kick out of him. What a
Yeah,
sweetheart.
chaos is a hoot.
Yeah, he got so mad about Lou Elizondo, who's got his foot stuck clear in his mouth right now. He was so
Okay, you got a
had
question.
by that phony picture.
You see it?
Um, well, I don't use live action characters, Ben. I mean, it's just it's just. In fact, on this one, I went with very low resolution characters because I wanted it to feel more like an animated film rather than a photo real film like The Keep. So I wanted to try that out, and I actually at one point tried this what they call a watercolor look, which makes it look like flow. It made it look kind of like that, where it was hand drawn animation cells. But I didn't quite like the look of it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. So what I did instead is I went with lower res, low polygon figures and trees and everything else to look more like sort of a Pixar kind of feeling, which I think lends itself well to reading from a book. Um, and I'm going to experiment more with that on the next one. Now, I saw a comment. I don't know who it was. Oh no, it's over here on the channel. Um,
Thank you, Benno.
this guy, Mike Slap, says Mary has an excellent reading voice. I hope she
Oh,
narrates all the communion letters.
well, I am. That's my
You know,
job.
bit by bit, we're going to do it. And then Whitley said, "Oh, and if you run out of those, I have more."
Aha.
So,
What do you guys think
oh
about
yeah, and
that?
on the 20th of this month, I'm being recorded for Dreamland, which is Whitley's show. Um, God, that show has
With
been really
Simon,
risky.
right?
Yeah, and Simon Bow, who, for those of you who aren't familiar, who did this book. Where is it? This book's incredible. It's a must read. At least that's how I look at it. So, and Whitley thought so too. And then he wanted to have both Simon and myself on Dreamland. He's going to record it on the 20th. I don't know how quickly after that he runs it, but it's usually a couple weeks later that you'll be able to see it on his channel. We're going to discuss this book. We're going to discuss the relationship between the visitors and the afterlife, for lack of a better word, and the conscious universe. So that should be a great show. And then somewhere along the line, hopefully in July, Whitley and myself and Reverend Michael Carter, who was recently on Dreamland talking about this very, very same material. Uh, he's really a different kind of reverend. He is the kind of guy that
Thank you, Benno.
he can bridge the gap between this experience and the religious community. He's very, very important. He has a lot of insight, and so Whitley thought it'd be great if the three of us would do a Breaking the Silence show. So Whitley and us and Dreamland, and Breaking Silence, we're trying to help each other and work together, um, and broaden awareness of the evolutionary content, more recent evolutionary content of this experience. It's moving forward at breakneck speed into realms that will answer many questions. I am finding, though, for many, when I read the reviews on some of the books I've been reading, is that
Thank you, Jill.
people are saying, "I'm sorry, I got halfway into this book. It's too far out. It's too crazy. I had to stop reading it. I can't deal with this." Well, first of all, the universe is absolutely impossibly there in the first place. We are all impossibly there. I mean, think of what we are. You know, flesh, blood, atomic structure, cells. It, it's miraculous. Look at the Earth. Look at our solar system. Look at the universe. And so we're being visited by craft and beings that don't use craft and everything in between. And it's all related to a common theme, and that's too crazy for them.
Yeah, consciousness.
So, but it's our belief that the reason we're having these experiences and we've been chosen or we agreed to do this is to try to broaden people's understanding of the experience and raise their consciousness and raise their vibration to a point where the world will be at peace, if that's possible. I underline, if that's possible. It is possible. But it takes a lot of work. And evidently, that's why we're involved. And you'll hear person after person on this subject, including Susie, who I'm trying to get on the show, say those exact same words. And Judy said it herself in her show about her experiences and when she held a little hybrid child and she spoke to it and her reflections on that. And Susan Alloway and Earl, bless his heart. Um, as I said, we're going to have Sev back, and it's going to be a recorded show. And So we'll probably talk about Earl as hard as it is to talk about. She sent me some pictures of him with her together. I can show you one of them. It might be kind of nice.
Okay.
It hasn't been that long, but there's Earl.
Yeah, it's just hard.
It is really hard. So, and this picture was really something. You can see Earl with his cell phone up, and there's Sev. Um, and tomorrow at the support meeting, we've got a little altar going for him with a candle in front of it, and we're using this picture, which is one of Mary's favorites. Him looking at who Mary calls Fred, which is that's a paper mache gray. I never worked in paper mache before, so I thought I'd make a gray, and he just loved that. So
What was that?
that was my hand going like that.
Oh,
So yeah. So how do you like them apples? We got people out there that don't like what we're doing, and so
well, we're not
we're
entertaining
not.
enough.
We're not. No, no, we're not going to continue doing business with you anymore because you're a nut. Your website's going down,
Oh,
or they're being messed with by the same people that keep taking down Whitley's
yeah,
website.
weekly.
Yeah, a known country. Sometimes 2 times in a row during the week, and he has all kinds of backup servers and everything, so it goes back up again. But he's constantly fighting that. A water lantern. Oh, that's great, Ben.
Oh, and Ben, we're giving your pennant that you made for Earl to his protege CJ. And I told her that we would give that to her for her to remember because they spoke every single day and she was, right there for him whenever he needed her.
Remember, I talked about that hybrid-looking being that was in that drawing of in the communion letters that I showed you. It's just staring at me right here. Uh, I did this back in '94, so I had not seen those drawings or the letters or anything else. So, and it wasn't a child. And I'm not the only person who's done drawings and had experiences with these beings. You can see the eyes weren't completely black, but they were really, they might as well have been. So it creeps me out to look at. I have not seen that or dealt with that. One more time I did, and then I've never dealt with that again. So, boy. Oh, here's a picture. I have this.
Showing pictures. Let me,
Well, I have all these pictures
there
that
you
are
go.
that are
You can
that
put it
are
up.
loaded on so I can go to them anytime I need if I'm talking about something. And this is Whitley, and I forget this gentleman's name. Someone is in the field, nice man. You can see the communion T-shirt there, and you can see the full size bust that I can't talk about it. I gave it to Whitley, and what he did with that, well, it's worth a good laugh. You can only find out if you see and ask him about it. He probably won't talk about it anyway. And then you can see that the original artwork for the T-shirt is right next to it, laying on its back. And some of the art, you can see how big it was at my table. Um, when I spoke at these conferences, they would pay pay your way there. A lot of cases, they would pay for your room. Sometimes
Well,
they
they
paid
still
for
do for
your meals.
Whitley.
No, I don't know about that. It's pretty much all about them, and you would speak, and I had a whole lecture I gave with all my artwork where I talked about my experiences, and then somewhere along the line, uh, the conferences got bought out by big business, just like the Renaissance Fair and the Star Trek conventions and everything else, and uh, and I just stopped going to them because I would call them up and say, hey, I can come again this year, and do a lecture for you and all that kind of stuff. They say, well, who the hell are you? I tell them, they go, well, we can give you a table.
Yeah.
It only
I saw
costs you $400, and I just that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this
I I saw
anymore.
someone over in the chat saying something about a mini conference, and that's always an idea,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
those are the ones put on by people who have a passion for this. They're not doing it for the
Right.
money. They're doing it so we can all get together and enjoy each other's company and talk about this stuff and listen to interesting people. Back in the '90s, when you went to conferences, you could you go out into the restaurant and there would be, you know, Bud Hopkins and Yvonne Smith and Richard Hoagland, Roger Lear and Whitley Strieber and Linda Moulton Howe and Paul Stonehill, who was really an interesting man. He's the Russian ufologist, and you could just go over and have dinner with them, or they invite you to it. You didn't have to pay to spend time with them. They were very open and approachable, and because the conferences were smaller and it was just put together for us people. But now they're trying to reach more people. They're bigger, they're noisier, and it's really about making money. So that's why I stopped appearing at them at all. But it was really different in those days. It was amazing. I mean, I remember Yvonne said, "You want to meet Bud?" And I said, "Sure." And she said, "Well, come with me." And we went up to the hotel room. The door was open. There was a bunch of people in there, and Bud was sitting on the end of a bed. And he had a glass of wine, and she said, "Bud, this is my friend Steve Neill. He's the one that's doing all the art for me." He goes, "Oh, have a seat and get him a glass of wine." And we just sat there. We talked for a couple hours, and it was just really nice. I mean, he was very sweet. He was a nice man. We talked deeply about this subject, and it was an incredible experience I will carry all my life. And that was just one of those folks. By that point, I already knew Whitley, so I was jaded. We were always making jokes at each other. People were looking at us weird.
Something.
Anyway, but it was really different. And now it's like the difference between San Diego Comic Con back in the '70s when I was an invited guest to go to that conference, and they really took care of me. And I did a makeup demonstration of how we did Planet of the Apes makeups for the Planet of the Apes TV series and other things prosthetic wise that I did. I showed how Spock's ears were done and stuff. And again, they were very quaint. And I went out I got invited out to dinner, and I'm sitting there with Jack Kirby and Theodore Sturgeon, Robert Bloch, Ray Bradbury, people like that. It was like a scene out of a Woody Allen movie. I'm in a delicatessen. There's just all these famous people. Kirk Allen, who played the original Superman in the Superman series. And I'm just hanging out with them, eating and talking about all this stuff. It was really an amazing time. Those times are gone. San Diego Comic Con, you can't even get tickets to it if you don't get them right away. And then when you go there, you're herded around like cattle. So this is what experienced. If anybody's interested, very.
So what were you talking about, Ben?
Yeah, what were you talking about? I guess I should go back to the comments.
Okay. Okay, the link
Where'd you
and
go, Ben?
message after.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't see that. I still don't see that. Hmm.
This is from the television show Sightings. And for Sightings, I built grays. And these were, you can't see them, but behind him is someone all in black with rods and little handles that make the fingers move and make the head move and everything on this gray. And we were shooting in my backyard with a full crew. And this was up in Granada Hills. And I always thought that was kind of neat. Um, I did a lot of work for Sightings. They were great people to work for. There was another picture that I really thought was cool, but I don't see it. It's not loaded in. And a very young me, working in my 40s, at my illustration table. There's one other one in here that shows me with the smaller gray I made for sightings. It's not loaded in. They only allow you to load in so many pictures into this, and then you have to delete some, and then you can add more. But it's
There you
going to
go.
be kneeling down next to it. So I'm going to go. I got to remove that. So there we go. And back to comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You get to be in
hippie.
charge
Call
of
me a
that.
hippie. I had very, very long hair and a lot of it too, but time's a harsh mistress when it comes to hair.
Yeah, you've made up for it the other direction.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, Mike. Mike. Went to my first conference last week. Found the presenters to be very cold and unwelcoming. Kind of a bummer. Yeah. Well, like I said,
I, I've never
those
understood
days
that.
I talked about, they're gone. I mean, they could be brought back, and I'll tell you how they can be brought back. Mary and I somehow stumble over enough money to rent
A
the
small
the,
place.
the convention part of a hotel, the convention rooms and stuff, and the auditorium, and we get all the people we now know personally in this community, including probably Danny Sheehan and people like that. If I don't know them, Whitley does, and if Whitley doesn't know them, Mark Sims does, and we could get all this amazing collection of people together and have a conference that's really a conference, and where we mingle with the audience, and
Aw,
we Lynn, thank you so much.
thank you.
Wow, thank you. Where we mingle with the audience, and because we're all the same, like Susan was told by the gray. I am you and you are me. We are all the same. I just love that. I'm probably going to repeat that over and over again. So get used to it. Not right now, but in the future. Because I just love it. It's so true. So it'd be nice to have that again. But unfortunately, you have to have money to afford the hotel and afford to put
Yeah.
people up and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, we'd like to do it, but
it would be
it's
great,
just,
and you can have that experience again. But big business took it all over and made it almost impossible. So
and when you have just a couple retired folks doing this,
yeah,
well, we're doing everything we can.
yeah, this is the closest thing you're going to get because to those conferences and the way things used to be, both in support groups, the chats that we have, the community chat, the private Zoom um, experiencer group, which is a support group that meets once a
Yeah, our
month.
last Zoom meeting was great.
None of it's recorded.
No.
Anything that happens during that meeting stays between us, and that's how it should be. We also have incredible guests on, and we've had Whitley on 3 times, and we're going to have him back again. I guess he likes us.
Well, he's not a guest at a Zoom because everybody's the same at Zoom.
I know, and he pops in and there too. But we can get some people that we all look up to and admire
Thank you,
on
Rachel.
these shows to talk about their work, to talk about their experiences, and to share with you. So for now, it's the closest thing we can do. So not unless someone backs us and says, "Hey, I heard what you said. I think it'd be great to do a conference like that." Um,
Thanks, Ben.
then we would do it. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen. Breaking the
Yeah.
Silence conference. It's got a ring to it. So
Oh my
well,
gosh.
I had someone ask me
Wow.
for a charity donation with a celebrity herself to have lunch with her for $350.
Oh, geez, Jill.
Is that like paying $5 million and you get to go to dinner with Donald Trump?
Shoot, you come here, I cook for you.
Yeah. We have what we think of as celebrities and amazing people come here for dinner from time to time, and either myself or Mary, we cook for them. So
And we even
no,
cooked for
we don't
Jill.
get paid. We don't get paid. Do you think Mark Sims will be back on? I think he got cut off. That was very interesting. I don't know why that happened. Uh, we hear from Mr. Sims. Uh,
Yeah, he
weekly.
just got married, so he's very
Yeah,
busy.
he got married. He's been busy with that. He just did that Alien Almanac premiere up in Ojai and
Hmm.
in the theater, and so all that. But we'll be talking to him again soon. Uh, and David Wilcox was dressed like a Star Trek villain, accompanied by an armed guard and German Shepherd dog.
Wow.
Wow, where was that? So, yeah, I do miss those conferences. I used to go to, in fact, going to Star Trek conventions back in the early 70s really helped my career. That's how I met Gene Roddenberry and Nagel, became friends with them, and that led to me working on Star Trek because I went to those things. And they saw my work, and they saw my table. And I had Spock ears there, Planet of the Apes appliances there, and they loved that stuff. And we would talk, and that's what happened, you know, because everybody was so approachable. They came to me. It's something. It's like it's hard to believe. It's like the way flying used to be. Can I have?
There's
Would
something
you
you
like
may
a
have missed.
pillow? Would you like a pillow? Maybe a blanket. I'll get you something to eat. That's how flying used to be. I won't fly anymore. I had a delightful breakfast with both of you, Stevens. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. You're so sweet. Yes, and I did cook breakfast. I like cooking. I like to cook. Mary and I both like to cook. Um,
We have to fight over the kitchen. Once in a while
yeah,
we
but it's
once
it's
in a while
art.
we
It's,
share,
it's
but it's
art.
very small and we both don't fit in the kitchen at the same time.
It's art you get to eat. If I ate some of this paper with my drawings on it, I'd probably get sick and choke to death. But food is a culinary art, and I've always loved it. So I particularly like cooking Indian food. So, which is one of my favorites. So people are evidently they're liking the visitors of the trees, and that's good. That's why we do it, so you can enjoy it, be entertained by it, learn from
Oh,
it, experience it, and if it makes you happy, that's the most important thing to us. So I wish
well,
you lived in our neighborhood too. It's
maybe sometime during a vacation.
yeah, we live by the sea, so the seagulls are always flying over. It's
Well,
usually
South
it's
Carolina
temp, it's
for
temperate
days.
here. Rarely gets above 80 ever. Maybe a few times during summer. So yes, I know we love Indian food. I think you meant so. David Wilcock dressed like a Star Trek villain. Thanks for the laughs, you guys.
It's really funny when people come to visit, like um, Costa and Hollis stopped in and spent the night a couple weeks ago, and we've got this Murphy cabinet. It's right here, and it turns into a queen size bed, but there's no hardly any room in the room to walk around it. So it's quite an experience staying with us.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, that's our yoga room. It's where we meditate, do yoga, and but they liked it that because they had good energy there. There's lots of crystals in the room and a little altar that we have and stuff because we're not really practicing Buddhists, but
We're practicing Buddhists.
well, yeah, yeah.
And
Buddhism is not a religion. It's not an
no,
organized
it's a
religion.
philosophy.
It's a philosophy, and it's a very loving one that connects with
Okay, here's interesting
with the
from Scarlett.
universe's consciousness, and it does have a consciousness.
Yeah, that's what was in the story,
Yeah.
Scarlett.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about that. I forget the exact quote from Carl Sagan, but it was something along the lines that when we actually meet an alien race or alien presence, it's going to be more strange than you could ever imagine. And that's certainly true. And when you really get into the subject matter and go deep, you take the deep dive and you look at the letters in the communion letters and you hear from people all around the world, they'll say, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I saw a giant white rabbit go across a road in front of my car. And I stopped and I watched it go into an open field. And there was a 747 sitting in the open field. So I got out of my car and I walked over. The rabbit disappeared. And I walked over to the 747. There was no one around it. It was all lit up. The windows were glowing. And I looked up at the tail and it said 1701 on the tail. Now, if you know Star Trek, you know 1701 was the original Star Trek ship. And this was a story that was told in a Bond support group. And he just thought he had to share it. He said, "You're just going to think I'm nuts." And of course, everyone looked at him and said, "I saw a giant rabbit too. And then I saw this owl in my window." And it just, and the owl was wearing leathers. I mean, it gets that crazy. We don't know why we see these things. We don't know if they're going into our mind and pulling things out they think that we'll relate to, but are so awkward, you know, for them. So they thought, well, I'll put a flight cap on and some goggles. They'll feel more comfortable. They won't think I'm so scary. You have to kind of try to put yourself in their shoes, and they're trying to communicate with us, and they're trying everything they can to do it. Bless their little hearts. And they're predominantly non-speakers, so everything's done telepathically and visually. So, yeah, some of this stuff is just too far out there for some people, and they just say, "I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm not reading this anymore. You got to be crazy." There are people who say that they go up into ships every week and they assist people with hybrids and they help with surgeries and all kinds of stuff like that. And I think it's very important that we do not discount these stories, because when you look into their eyes, you can see clearly that they experienced something very real for them.
Mm.
And what
And then you have the people like the realtor that was next door. The condo next to us is for sale. And being an ex realtor, I was going to go over and impart some, wisdom to the new realtor. So the buying agent was there, and I told him to get a vanilla candle and put some candy out. And I forgot to take this off before I went over there. And so the whole time I was talking, he could not take his eyes off of it. And he finally said, that necklace you're wearing, that's an alien." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm still wearing that. Do you like it? Do you believe in aliens?" And I tried to get him talking, and the look in his eyes, and he was so frightened. It was unbelievable. So there's still people out there, we're jaded. We all, talk about this all the time, but there's people out there that are really terrified of this subject. And that was such an unusual experience for me, so I thought I'd share it.
um, thank you, Mary. And Scarlett, you were talking about how odd some of this stuff is. Well, and then somebody said about wearing blonde wigs. This is from the book Breakthrough. I did a quick drawing of this for Whitley. Looking at it now, I could have done better, but that's besides the point. Look at her. She had in that bag vegetables from I think it was a home garden or something that was outside, and she was wearing a dress and had a blonde wig on, and it was the communion lady. And this was a friend of his staying at the cabin who answered the door, who was very confused, as you could probably well imagine. Whitley was standing on the stairway looking down, watching this all happen. And, it's like the communion ladies that were seen in the bookstore reading his book and giggling at her, or making like humorous sounds at it, like, "You got that wrong and you got that right," kind of thing. And this was seen by, I think, Ed Conroy was a friend of his. They've been seen walking down the street dressed like humans, but their faces were like this, and nobody noticed it. So it gets pretty crazy. It does. But this, like I said, is from Breakthrough, I believe. Let me take that down. No. Is that it? There it is. Okay. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
So, uh, yes, it gets really odd. I mean, it was daytime in the Granada Hills. I'll make it short. I hear the sound on the outside of the house. So I walk to the side of our house when there's kind of an alley running down our house next to the neighbor's fence, and that's where we keep trash cans and stuff. And so I go out the side door of my little workshop, and there's this guy up on my roof. I mean, he's sitting edge to the roof edge, and his feet are straight out, and he's bent like he's sitting on something, and he's got a light colored sweatshirt that's moth eaten and jeans, bare feet. Um, he looks like Burt Reynolds a bit. He looks like he's had bad skin at one time, maybe from acne. Dark hair. I mean, I could describe him so perfectly and still see him. And I looked at him, and I looked at him, and I said, "Wait a minute, he's just floating. There's nothing supporting him." I said, "Excuse me, who are you, and what are you doing on my roof?" He says, "Oh, I'm repairing your roof." And I looked again, and I saw he was floating there, and I said, "Wait a minute, you're an alien," which was such a stupid thing to say, but I said it. And at that moment, down he came right in front of me, and became basically what these book cover, and it went like this, and it smiled, and it spun very quickly. It became like a dust devil and went through the gate out to the front street. I ran to the gate, I looked over the top of it, and I watched it disappear like a dust devil on the street. Weird enough? Out there enough for you? Yeah. So who's going to believe you, right? This guy's obviously crazy. There's nothing to this stuff. It's all crazy. But yet you will find other people who I've never met, who never heard my story, who will count the same sorts of incidences. So keep that in mind. You love it. Oh, there was someone making made a comment. You might want to read it. That's in the community about how they went into a bar to have a sandwich and a beer, and someone sitting next to him looked over at him. They had almond shaped eyes, and they told him he was going to have all these children, many, because he didn't want kids. And they said, "You're going to have many, many, many children," and then went off. And it creeped him out so much he left. And then later on, he got a vasectomy. Just and it's almost like a joke, but he was serious. He
And
said
he
he
said they
wanted to
got
stop
mad at
that
him.
program. Yeah, he said they got mad at him. He's been bothered by it ever since. So, um, it, it, Gary Nolan says something I think is very important. He's a very level-headed, very serious man, very straightforward, very knowledgeable. And he said, if you take something off the table, you can't go back to it, and you can't discount things. You got to put it all on the table, keep it there. Maybe there are people that wrote off George Adamski, Billy Meyer, and other people. But when we go back and look at those cases, Ed Walters, we go back and look at those cases more closely, we realize that they were experiencing something. You know, with Ed Walters, when he moved from that house and they went into the house and they found the model of the Gulf Breeze craft made out of McDonald's, or, those foam dishes and stuff. I mean, come on. Would he have left something like that behind to be found? And judging by the size of the model, the fact that it would have been difficult to light, it's hard to say how on Polaroids he did what he did. So we need to not take it off the table. We need to continue looking at it, because there's a very good chance that they were telling the truth, and therefore the data and the information that they're trying to share with you contributes to our knowledge about this subject. Huh. Well, Mary and I, we were in Trader Joe's, and I saw her legs first. And the thing about her legs was it reminded me of what I saw in my kitchen when I
It was
saw this.
so thin.
Yeah, I consciously saw a visitor. Some of you know about it because I reenacted it in computer animation. But her legs were like that creature's, and they were so thin. It was like hard to believe that that any human could look like that. And she was tall, and nobody seemed to really notice her. And she's walking around in this dress and this skirt, and getting groceries. I really questioned whether or not she was from the planet Earth. Huh, Julie. Um, this woman was tall too. I mean, I have to face up to. Yeah, there's no reason that they can't walk right in front of us.
Hmm.
Until the drones started showing up in the sky and people started looking up for the first time, probably ever in their whole life. They were reporting airplanes flying over and thinking they were drones. That's because they never noticed jets flying over them at night or in the daytime. They never noticed the guy in the Cessna going into final approach to a local runway. They never look up. They never notice. They don't see birds. They don't see anything. So here, this whole drone thing happened. They're all looking up, and now they're starting to see things.
Right.
And yeah, and now they're actually seeing things that aren't drones. And the same thing
Right.
goes
And inside too,
to
I
their visit.
think Trader Joe's must be one of their favorite stores also.
Oh, sure it is, because they carry oyster mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
King, not king oysters, but the ones about that big. Gotta have your mushrooms. So, what did you think,
Uh,
Rachel? Oh,
okay. There's Benno, and then
yeah, sure. I mean, everything's a hybrid when you really think about it. You know, I was raised in a family that was scientists and artists and thinkers and engineers, and they didn't think about religion or God one way or the other. It just wasn't in their world, and it was the same way for me until I got involved in this. And I have to say, at age 73, looking back at it all, and looking at science, and looking at DNA, and looking at this universe, it's designed. I just, things forming this universe randomly, it's just something I find difficult to accept. Maybe it's true, but I really don't think so. And for what I know from the visitors, it's definitely designed,
mhm.
engineered, and created. And it's not the only one. And we were part of that too. So,
Here's from Scarlett.
yeah, I'm reading it. Yeah, that's true. And I've experienced that, Scarlett. I have. I had, I wasn't the person who died, but I was pulled into what you might call a near death experience, except the person that did that was someone I loved who was very young, and she wanted me to have that experience and pulled me into it. And
Mhm.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. And then one other time I was drowning, and I had an experience like that as well. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and they're all there still. And many of us have these experiences, are very sensitive to spirit. And what's interesting is that the spirits, the ghosts, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, disembodied, it knows that you have the ability to perceive them. Maybe it's some light that you give off or something, but they know because they will try to talk to you. And of course, it's all telepathic, but they do try that. And I've experienced that more than once. So,
Right. Well, Nova's starting to scratch at
yeah, it's
me.
time to be Nova. It's been a really nice just having Mary on the show. I
Thank
really,
you.
really enjoyed that. This is the first time that we've really just done it like this. We have to do this more often.
You're next to me all the time.
No, I know, but the two of us, and then having all of you here because you feel like family to us, and it's just a very comfortable experience. And yeah, I know Licky Looms are out there listening to this, and they will look at the recordings, listen to it, and say, "Yeah, those people are all nuts." But do you
Yep.
really care? I don't care
Nope.
anymore. I don't. It's a wonderful, beautiful universe. It's conscious. It's alive. We're part of that
Yeah.
consciousness,
And
and
look at all you beautiful people. I mean, this is
yeah, I
wonderful.
know. So it's really really amazing. Thank you all, and thank you for the love, and
Yes,
thank you
thank you.
for the support, Lynn. And like I said, um, if you want to see some of the special stuff I'm doing with the illustrated stories about my experiences and the comic book that I thought was lost, the original art, and all that kind of stuff, you can go to my Substack account and page, and if you become a member, you can become a subscriber. But if you become a paid subscriber, you have access to that stuff, and it's
And
just the
thank
way
you
that
for
our people
everybody
are.
that's become members here at YouTube as well. It's
Yeah,
really appreciated.
and at Substack, because a lot of you
Hmm.
did become members and paying members at Substack, which is another reason that
And YouTube.
I'm giving you something, and YouTube. All right, well, I think that pretty well covers it. And
Yes. Good night. Have a
one of us guys would love to
wonderful
come in and
Mother's
do the
Day.
series. Yeah, enjoy tomorrow, wherever you are. And
And
we'll see you again next week,
we'll
right? We
see you real
community
soon.
chat is next Friday, and
Yep. I'll be there
yeah,
too.
okay. All right. Love you guys.
Love
Good
you.
night.
Night.